Climate change has been a focus area for many years within the context of business continuity. But there's a growing awareness that physical risk isn't the only issue we need to address. We also need to look at a host of other issues in terms of policy and strategy as we're starting to transition to a less carbon-intensive economy. And that's where transition risk comes into play. The more recent emphasis on transition risk has shifted the focus from purely physical and operational risks to financial risk, hence the broader term climate-related financial risk. Because of this broader scope, regulators and policymakers have started looking more closely at the impact of climate change on the financial services industry. And they're now developing climate-related stress tests, climate-related disclosure requirements, those sorts of things. One thing we've noticed is that while there's a lot of emphasis on banks and financial firms, not much has been written specifically about the impact of climate change on financial market infrastructures. And that's what we're trying to address with this white paper. Our objective was to examine how climate-related risk, both in terms of physical risk and transition risk, can impact financial market infrastructures, or FMIs. With respect to climate-related physical risk, the exposure of FMIs is essentially similar to that of banks or other financial institutions. The key to mitigating this type of risk is to have robust business continuity programs and to keep enhancing those programs going forward. But when it comes to climate-related transition risk, there are two important differences. First, the risk horizon of FMIs is much shorter than that of other financial institutions. For instance, NSCC clears and settles cash transactions in US equities, and therefore it's only exposed during a 2-day time window between trade execution and settlement. Banks, on the other hand, have loans and other long-term financial commitments, so that's a big difference. Second, transition risk directly affects carbon-intensive activities in sectors such as energy, transportation, and other types of industries. Companies in those sectors face considerable challenges to successfully navigate the transition to a greener economy that's starting to take place. As a result, banks and other financial institutions that fund these companies are exposed to transition risk as well, but that's a second-order exposure, so it's more indirect. Then, when you look at FMIs, those are entities that are exposed to banks, but now you're talking about a third-order risk, so it's even more indirect. With respect to regulation, we believe that the principles for financial market infrastructures, which are also known as the PFMIs, that were created by CPMI IOSCO, can and should be applied to address the risks associated with climate change. These principles provide a regulatory framework that has been agreed upon internationally and that is both comprehensive and flexible. Most importantly, it's a framework that is specifically designed to strengthen the unique role and purpose of FMIs in terms of safeguarding financial stability. With respect to next steps, I would mention 3 focus areas. First, FMIs need to keep evolving their business continuity programs. While these programs have done a great job of safeguarding critical business operations in the past, we need to prepare for potentially more frequent and more damaging climate-related events in the future. Second, we need standardized disclosures across the industry so that FMIs can incorporate meaningful climate-related assessments into their counterparty credit risk programs. Third, even though the financial services industry is not among the most polluting sectors, we can all implement programs to reduce our own carbon footprint as well. One thing should be clear. Climate change is a huge challenge that has the potential to affect not only the environment, but also global financial stability. Now is the time to act.